So today I just wanted to do a relatively quick, fun tutorial on writing with proteins. I found this while I was just browsing the web. It's located on the NIH website under Science Education, Activities, and Multimedia, Protein Alphabet, and you can just plug your name in. It was curated by Dr. Mark Haworth of the University of Oxford, I believe. I can insert in the link to this site in the description below. And after you write in your name, you can hover over the protein, get the identity for it, and you can also move it in 3D space. So if you don't have Blender, I don't know why you're on this tutorial, but you can look at it in 3D space. So here I am just taking note of what proteins constitute my username in Tropic. So the very first one is going to be 2Q5R from the protein databank. I'm going to go back over to Blender, and using the amazing, illustrious Molecular Notes add-on by B3D, going to import this protein into the scene below. And I will, of course, attach a link over to his GitHub page where you can download that add-on. Cannot recommend it even more than I possibly have. Just amazing, beautiful, shiny, so useful. 10 out of 10. Thank you, B3D. And I'm going to insert a camera into my scene and just zoom out so I can get a general idea of where I want to lay out my proteins in this scene. So from there, navigate over to Geometry Nodes and add on a Style ribbon to the very end of that Geometry Nodes section. If you want, you certainly can style it with ball and stick or surface, but I find that using a ribbon tends to make it a little bit clearer that you're trying to write out a word with the proteins. So from there, I'm just going to do a lot of manual tweaking and rotating to make sure that the E is prominent to the viewer here. Download the next one and pretty much just repeat that process. Inevitably, you'll notice that the origin is a little wonky for some of the proteins. I'm not entirely sure why that is, but you can fix it by going up to Object, set origin to geometry, and just adjusting the position of that protein from there. Oh, and don't forget to save your work, name it, place it in a safe area on your computer, just in case your computer decides that it's not going to have a good day with you. Now the protein P, the protein 4P, this one was a headache and a half to transform in order to make it resemble a P. I'm struggling even in the 3D viewer on the module itself to make it look like a P. As you can see here, I'm on the struggle bus. I don't know how the heck the author made it resemble a P, and I'm trying my absolute hardest in order to kind of trick myself into thinking that it does look like that letter. But yeah, this is basically real-time frustration in me trying to figure out how. I even went over to the original paper to just try to get a better idea as to how it was arranged in 3D space, and it didn't really help too much. But I kept trying, and eventually I kind of get it to look like a P. In the context of the entire word, it's fine, I guess. It's sufficient, as one may call it. Anyways, I'm kind of just stalling while I watch myself figure this out in real time. I'm pretty sure I get it to kind of resemble a P pretty soon. Oh, and I switched on over to the rendered view just to see if seeing the colors of the side chains would help. Spoiler alert, not really. So I will apologize in advance for, I mean, here we go. It kind of resembles a P, kind of. If you like squint at it and look at it at the right angle, it looks like a P, right? Okay, well, we're going to just kind of make that a similar size as the other letters and just move on. The other two proteins are 10 billion times easier to work with. This one's literally just a line. It's perfect for I. Continue on the previous steps as before. Yada yada yada. Now that all of the letters are imported and basically rearranged, just making tiny details to clean up the scene as a whole. And here's where we get to the fun part, decorating the scene. So I navigated on over to Kular's because I really like how easy and intuitive that website is, and how many different beautiful color palettes you can find. But before doing that, I'm just going to add in an HDRI to my scene and change the render engine so that I can have a better idea of what the final outcome of this project will look. So we're still in Eevee, and I want this to be in cycles, so I get a little bit more photorealism in there. Change that over to transparent, and go on over to the color palette that I've chosen. Now, just to make it a bit easier on me, I'm gonna open up just that palette in another tab, so it's a little bit easier for me to copy the hex values over to the protein. So from here, I'm gonna go over to molecular nodes, style, color manual, and add that to the very end of this geometry chain, and copy that hex value that I've taken before into the RGB node, and continue that process for each and every single protein, following the palette that I've chosen before, so I don't have to worry about tweaking too many of those hex values on my own. So after adding in all of those colors, I'm going to go over to the shading tab, select the atomic material, and just zhuzh it up a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit of subsurface scattering because I really like how it kind of adds a little bit more depth, like a little bit of a plastic, realistic-ish feeling to the material itself. Gonna increase the roughness so I have a little less gloss on this material, and decrease the specular a little bit. And I'm very content with how this looks so far. So just play around with the material however you wish. I'm gonna let this guy render for a little bit so I can do some compositing on it afterwards. So after that's all rendered, I'm gonna head over to the compositing tab and add in a viewer node so I can see exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to add in an alpha over channel and switch over from the top socket to the bottom so it doesn't cover up the scene that we've just created, and adjust the background so that it kind of highlights the overall kind of warm pastel-y vibe without hiding the letters. I want there to be a bit of a contrast between the background and the subject of the scene. I'm also going to add an alpha lens distortion. Sorry, my cats it's zoom time, so they're kind of freaking out right now. And I'm going to add in a glare node as well. Switch over to the fog glow, and then connect everything all back to the final rendered node. And I'm going to increase the sampling size from 100 to 1000 so that the still image is higher quality. If you want to animate this, you can add in a wiggle atoms node right before the styling node, and add in a scene time node and connect the frames over to animate. That way you don't have to manually change the values for the animate number. If you want to add another layer of movement to this, you can download the Camera Shakeify add-on, which is also going to be displayed in the description below. And select the camera that is in this scene, navigate to the camera tab, and add in a camera shakeify effect. You can select different movement types. I personally like the wedding movement because it's very subtle. It doesn't really take away too much from the scene, and you kind of get like a nice general dynamic view of the scene overall. So that's that. If you like this tutorial, like, subscribe if you want. Definitely check out everybody that I've mentioned before who helped to create awesome resources for Blender, and check out the Alphabet Protein site that I saw. It's very cool. Um, Hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you eventually. All right, bye.